'Tis the season of giving, and that, of course, means picking out what to get your loved ones. Well, never fear, our jolly hosts are here to help you find the perfect gift. But we're going to be changing things up a bit today, and Antoine is going to tell you how. So, Antoine, what are we doing a little bit differently today?
I actually have no idea. Are we doing something different today?
Well, I mean, we're not
We are not
covering games specifically.
exactly. We are not covering games because it's a Christmas period, and of course, you are late buying your presents, and there's only 3 days. Be careful.
All right. Well, I don't have any other questions. I think most people know what RAM is, so we don't need to go too far into that rabbit hole, right? Okay, so I'm going to go
Right.
ahead. Yeah, I should hope so. So I'm going to go ahead and list my first one. So my first one is the Redragon M908 Impact, which is an MMO mouse. And there are actually quite a few out there. There's the Logitech. I can't remember what the model is, but there's a Logitech MMO mouse that's usually highly recommended as far as one of the cheaper MMO mice go. But this one you can get for a little over $30. I think it's like $33 US or something like that. So you can get it relatively cheap. But this is definitely for somebody who likes playing MMOs. Because if you've ever played an MMO, you know, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, what else is popular? I don't know.
Terra,
Terra Online, I guess. Do people still play that? But if you're playing these games,
Black Desert.
Black Desert, yeah, Black Desert. If you're playing these games, a lot of times you just have tons of abilities, especially with kind of the older ones like Final Fantasy 14 or World of
Or
Warcraft, where you
Tezu.
just have does Black Desert have like all the abilities tied to a
Uh,
button
I don't
though?
know, more like Elder Scroll Online.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls Online, that sort of thing. So usually you just have tons and tons and tons of hotbars, and you know most people bind them to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, usually they're number keys, or they might use some other keys. But sometimes your hands are kind of dancing around. It's almost like playing piano when you're getting into your rotations and whatnot, and it can get a little bit daunting, especially when you're trying to move at the same time. You know, if you're trying to move left, or if you're trying to strafe right, and so you have to hold down D, but you also have to hit the sixth key. So you're like twisting your hand around backwards and stuff like that. It can get kind of crazy, and you can get used to it, but it's you start doing kind of what console users when they start getting that claw formation where they're like hitting the D-pad with their index finger. So it's not, yeah, you get into weird situations. So an MMO mouse solves that problem by putting just a bunch of buttons on the sides of your mouse right there. You can see right there with the side buttons, you have 12 side buttons, and all of them are programmable, so you can set them up to whatever you want. And of course, just like in an MMO, you can hold down the shift key, and it gives you access to another set of 12. Hold down the control key, you get access to another 12. So you have access basically to 36 buttons right there with your thumb. So that's super convenient. It might take a little while to get used to, but once you do, it's going to make your life a lot easier. But the thing is even if you don't play MMOs, this kind of mouse is still super useful. I mean, for instance, I really love my mouse. I have a Foxray. I don't remember the model number. Venus something. I'm using what does it say? FXR SM29 Venus gaming mouse. So this is a gaming mouse, and it's only got, I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's only got the 2 buttons on the side, but it's fully programmable. And if you go through the videos a while back, I was editing the audio, and I did a stream of myself editing the audio, and in it you can see that I bound all the keys or all the buttons on the mouse to various things that I needed to do in the audio. For example, my mouse wheel, if you click the mouse wheel, that would silence something. Or if you hit the buttons on the side, it would fade in or fade out. And I have a button for copy and a button for paste and all that. And it's okay, but you have a lot of limited options. I only have so many buttons. And having a mouse with, all these extra buttons on it, if you're doing any kind of audio editing, if you're doing any kind of video editing, or even art. You know, I know a lot of artists now use like the sketch pads or whatever, and I have one, but I've been doing it with a mouse for so long before I got the sketch pad that I'm actually still not used to the sketch pad, so I actually do it better on the mouse still, which is weird, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just more used to the mouse. But having things like that, you know, um, for instance, right now I've been trying to update our intro because our old intro, you know, was very specifically featuring myself in Korean, and now we have two new hosts, so that's no longer inappropriate because we need, you know, something that's a little more generic. And so I've been editing that, and as I'm doing it, I noticed that I could set certain buttons to the things on the side. So, for instance, the pencil tool I set to one button, the eraser I set to one button, the select tool I set to one button, and having that is just super helpful. You know, because I don't have to either, you know, either I have to move my hands to the keyboard and hit the hotkeys, or I have to take my mouse, and if you've ever, you know, used something like Photoshop or something like that, you know, I have to move it to the left of the screen, click the tool I want, bring it back. And not having to do that, just being able to just right there, you know, click and I have the tool and I don't have to move the mouse or anything. I can just click, get the tool I want, you know, here, click, you know, go back to, you know, click to do the eraser, click to do the pencil, click to do the eyedropper tool. You know, I don't have to go back and forth. It was actually going a lot faster and a lot smoother. So having a mouse like this with all these buttons, to me would be super useful. And there are some ones that are nicer, but we're doing stocking stuffers today, and so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go with one that's pretty good and has a good price, and so I chose this one because the price is right, just a little over $30. It's got all those button functionality that you want. If you're the kind of person that likes RGB lighting, I don't really care, but I know a lot of people are into that. It's got that. You can choose that as well. It's all programmable. And the other reason that I chose this one over the Logitech mouse was because with this one, there's a picture that'll show up from time to time. It's got a little disc that you can put in the bottom, and it's got weights in it. So if you're the kind of person that likes a heavier mouse, or if you're the kind of person that likes a lighter mouse, you can adjust it to the weight that you want so that you feel more comfortable with moving it around. Because some people, they like that kind of the heavier mouse, you know, you feel, I guess it's more tactile in a way. But some people like the lighter mouse because they can feel more fluid. So you can find that weight that's good for you, and I think that's actually really useful as well.
Is that a cordless mouse or is it
This
USB
one's this one's
mouse?
a USB mouse. There are cordless mice that you can buy. If you're looking for the nicer one, the was it the Razer Naga Pro, I think is what it's called. That one's cordless or corded. You can choose, I believe. But that one does have a bit of a reputation of breaking every 2 years or so, so you might have to replace it relatively so often. The Logitech mouse is recommended on the cheaper end just because the Logitech mouse has Logitech mouse is about the same price as this one. It might be a little bit higher, but it's very durable, and it's got the keys on the button are mechanical keys, so they work kind of like a keyboard. So it's a little more durable. That one will last you a really long time. That one also has you know, most mice have the two buttons on the top. Here, two buttons on the top. That one actually has a third button over here on the side as well. Uh, and I was going to talk about that one, but then this one has the weights in it, and it's a little bit cheaper, so I went with this one. But the Logitech, I don't remember what it's called, but Logitech does a MMO mouse that's also highly recommended. So.
All right. Before moving on to the next product, is there any brand in particular because that you like? Because we are talking about, I was talking about computer components. You are talking peripherals. I know, like for instance, I mentioned Corsair for components because it's an extremely good brand and extremely recommended. But for components only, if you start talking about Corsair headset, mouse, stuff like this, all of a sudden it's not that good anymore. So is there any brand that you trust more than others?
For me, actually, no, because it's kind of funny. Most of my peripherals are brands that I had never heard of prior to buying them. My headset is a Cooler Master. I'd never heard of Cooler Master. I think it's a Taiwanese company, or oh no, wait, maybe Cooler Master isn't. I know this one, the mouse is a Fox X Ray, which is a Taiwanese company. And I had obviously never heard of them, but the mouse was relatively cheap, and so I got it, and it's been working great. And in a way, I'm kind of hoping that it stops working great and breaks so I can get an MMO mouse, but it's too reliable, and so I can't justify the price of another
Break
mouse.
it, damn it!
Yeah, I know, right? So it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, it still works so well.
Oh
Um,
no, it accidentally fell in my coffee.
yeah,
I'll have
yeah,
to get a new one.
yeah. I don't like throwing away things that still work, and I don't think a mouse is the kind of thing you can donate to charity. I guess you could, but I don't know. So as long as this one works, I'll keep using this one. But when it goes, I think I'll go with an MMO mouse. But it's pretty durable. And the Cooler Master, this I've had for over a year. And actually, when I had that, was it the PS2, PS4? On the PS4, I had the official, I don't remember what they were called, the official Sony headset, and it worked really really well, but the material started kind of flaking off, and the battery life was getting worse and worse and worse over time. I typically like things that are corded, just because you don't have to worry about battery life. So I like corded mice. I like corded headsets. Um, if they had them, I would still use corded controllers for my console. But
Exactly the point I wanted to go to. Yeah,
yeah,
corded is better than wireless to me, at least.
yeah, you don't have to worry about battery. Latency is obviously going to be much much better. You don't have to worry about interference. Like if you have something that's like Bluetooth or whatever, sometimes you can get interference, and with cords, you don't have to worry about that. So I definitely prefer corded. But yeah, I got these because Korean and I were thinking about getting new headsets, and we looked at a video, and the guy was reviewing a bunch of them, and he just mentioned this one, and then listening to it, I was like, the audio on that one is just so much better. It's so obvious that the recording is so much better, and just a testament to my headset, I am the only host that we have who is not currently using a desk mic. So everybody else has the nice mic. They got the nice mics, and I was like, I should get a nice mic. And then I was like, yeah, but I think I feel like I sound okay. So I don't know. I could just keep using the mic on my headset. So, uh, and yeah, so this is Cooler Master. I'd never heard of them before. This is Fox X-Ray. I'd never heard of them before. So
And
I don't
at the
have
same
particular brand
time,
loyalty.
I think Korean took the Black Shark V2,
He
right?
did Black Shark too. I had never heard of them prior
Yeah.
to that. Yeah.
Oh wait, isn't it Razer Black Shark?
Maybe it is. I'm not
But
sure. Yeah, I'd have to look it up. I did look it up last night, but I didn't look at
it
what
is
his
it
was.
is a Razer. So Razer, which is of course a very famous brand that
Hmm.
I never used. Um, from the comments I saw, usually Razer would be an extremely good thing, except maybe not as durable as the rest.
That's exactly what I see. Is that Razer makes, when the products are new, they're fantastic and they work really really well, but they don't last quite as long as some other ones. So